start your business, you're going to require yourself to work 80 hours a week. You're not going to pay yourself, not going to give yourself vacations. That sounds like a shitty opportunity to me.
Yeah, that's a super good point, because I hear this sometimes in other consultants or coaches in different industries talk about anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. And that, that may have a tinge of truth in it somewhere. Okay. And it may, I've seen people that have just really not good skills and don't have the opportunities and have the things you need to be a business owner. And they've been successful, and I was wrong. And I've seen other people that I'm like, man, this dude's going to just go along with this and not be able to, and they're out of business in 3 or 4 years. So it isn't for everybody, because everybody doesn't have a wife that's going to let you do that and get away with things. Right. You're not going to have maybe a husband that's going to allow you to do those things and get away with those things. And maybe you decide my marriage is more important than risking everything in this business. And I think that's a super good point. I think that's okay. I think if that's somebody out there that's going through that, that's all right, man. There's nothing to be ashamed about with that. And I think that's a super good point. And that just tells me, you're honest, because you're not selling stuff. You're honest, man.
It's just part of me. And, the only thing, like, in terms of the actual skill or the trade, yeah, I do feel like anyone could learn to clean a house. Anyone can learn to do landscape lighting. I'm never going to be like lighting designer of the year. That's just not me. I'm all about scaling a business. And when you scale a business, that means you have to sacrifice some things. Like, I'm not going to spend as much time dialing in the design, because I can go and do a $3 million business and if I'm closing the deal in a 1 hour appointment. Now there's other people that have a completely different model, and they're like, no, I want to be designer of the year, and I'm going to spend 5 or 6 hours, and I'm going to go back to my office and email and do that whole thing. I don't know how to scale that type of business, And so there are different personalities and stuff like that. But anyone, if I can learn to install and design lighting, anyone can do that. Not anyone can scale the business and be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. What is who's your customer besides the residential? So do you go to any property managers? Do you go to any landscapers that aren't doing lighting and say, hey, how about we collaborate? What's that marketing all about?
That's a great question. So again, kind of going back to not knowing what I'm doing, when you start, I literally was like knocking doors, that's not an analogy, like knocking the door. Hey, we just did some lighting down the street. I'd love to set up a demo for you. And we set up these temporary lights, right? And I ended up scoring, this was like our first big job in a really nice neighborhood. And I ended up scoring that two people like agreed to this demo. One we did like right away. And like 2 weeks later, we were installing a $25,000 job.